You were 8 when you learned that crying doesn't fix anything. Maybe it was the night your parent didn't come home, or the morning you had to pack your own lunch because no one else would. Maybe it was the exact moment you realized that if you didn't hold it together, everything would fall apart. So you did. You held it together, and you've been holding it ever since. People started calling you strong, reliable, the one who always knows what to do. They leaned on you, and you let them, because that's what you were supposed to do, right? That's who you became. But here's what you are dangerously missing about being the strong one. The world stops checking on you. They assume you're fine. They assume you don't need help. They assume your shoulders are wide enough to carry everyone else's weight, and yours too. And maybe you believed that for a while. Maybe you still do. But strength isn't what you think it is. It's not the ability to never break. It's the fact that you've been breaking quietly for years, and no one's noticed, not even you. This is about the real price of being the strong one. And trust me, it's higher than anyone wants to admit. Nobody ever taught you how to ask for help, but they sure as hell taught you how to give it. You learned early that problems don't solve themselves, that chaos doesn't calm itself down, that if you wanted things to work, you had to be the one making them work. So you did, over and over, until reliable became your entire personality. And now you're trapped in a pattern you didn't even know you were building. Every time someone needs something, they come to you. Every crisis, every breakdown, every impossible situation, you're the first call, the only call. It feels good at first. Being needed, being trusted, being the one who holds it all together while everyone else falls apart. But here's the catch. The better you get at being strong for everyone else, the more invisible your own struggles become. People stop wondering if you're okay because you've never not been okay. They stop offering support because you've never seemed to need it. And you've been performing strength for so long that you've forgotten it's a performance at all. This isn't a motivational speech. This is a breakdown of the psychological and philosophical cost you're paying, and why that weight you're carrying is heavier than it needs to be. Keep watching. You'll finally see what's been hidden this whole time. Most people's childhoods are supposed to be about learning how to be a kid. Yours was about learning how to survive like an adult. Maybe your parents were physically there but emotionally absent. Maybe they were dealing with addiction, mental illness, or just their own unprocessed trauma. Maybe they worked 3 jobs and came home too exhausted to notice you were struggling. Or maybe they were so consumed by their own problems that you became the parent by default. Whatever the reason, the result was the same. You grew up fast, too fast. You were the one making sure bills got paid, or at least making sure your younger siblings got fed. You mediated arguments, you absorbed tension. You became an emotional shock absorber for problems that weren't yours to solve. But someone had to, and no one else was stepping up. Some child psychologists call this parentification. It's when a kid is forced into a caregiving role that's developmentally inappropriate. And it doesn't just steal your childhood, it rewires your brain. When you're young, your nervous system is still forming. It's learning what safety feels like, what trust means, how to regulate emotions. But if you're constantly in crisis mode, managing chaos, your brain learns something else entirely, that love is earned through usefulness, that your value is tied to your function, that if you stop being helpful, you stop mattering. So you never stopped. Even after you left that environment, even after you technically became an adult yourself, the pattern stayed. You kept finding people who needed saving, kept putting yourself last, kept measuring your worth by how much you could carry for others. And the cruelest part, the world rewarded you for it. Teachers praised you, employers promoted you, friends called you their rock. Everyone benefited from your overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and no one questioned whether it was healthy, because from the outside, it looked like strength. From the inside, it felt like imprisonment. Here's what happens when you become the person everyone leans on. You stop existing as a full human being. You become a role, a utility, a walking solution to other people's problems. Sociologists have a term for this. It's called role engulfment. It's when a single social role becomes so dominant that it swallows your entire identity. You're no longer a person with needs, desires, and vulnerabilities. You're just the strong one, the fixer, the person who handles things. And once that role locks in, it's almost impossible to break out of it. Because here's the thing, people need you to stay in that box. Not maliciously, most of them don't even realize they're doing it. But they've built their sense of stability around your consistency. They've come to rely on the fact that you won't fall apart, that you won't ask for too much, that you'll always be there when they need you. So when you do try to step outside that role, when you admit you're struggling, when you ask for help, when you show any sign of human fragility, it creates discomfort, confusion, sometimes even resentment. They might say things like, "I've never seen you like this," or "You're always so strong, you'll get through it." They mean it as encouragement, but what you hear is, "I don't know how to see you as anything other than what I need you to be." And that's the trap. The more competent you become at managing everything, the less permission you have to be anything else. Your strength becomes your identity, and your identity becomes your prison. Psychologists call this self-silencing, the process of suppressing your own emotional needs to maintain relational harmony. You learn that expressing struggle threatens the role everyone depends on you to play, so you stay quiet, you keep performing, and the performance never ends. Because the moment you stop being strong, you fear you'll stop being valued, stop being loved, stop mattering at all. Your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. Every crisis you absorbed, every emotion you swallowed, every time you smiled through exhaustion and said, "I'm fine," when you weren't. Your body kept a record, not in words, in tension, in shallow breaths, in a heartbeat that never quite settles. You've been running on fumes for so long you've forgotten what fuel feels like. There's a heaviness that lives in your chest now, a tightness in your shoulders that never fully releases. You wake up tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that lives deeper, in your bones, in the parts of you that haven't rested in years. You get headaches that come out of nowhere. Your stomach turns even when nothing's wrong. Your immune system has given up trying to keep up. Every cold hits harder, lasts longer, lingers like it's punishing you for something. And maybe you've noticed your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be. Decisions feel harder. Focus slips. You forget things you used to remember easily. Not because you're broken, but because your brain has been operating in survival mode for so long it's starting to burn out. This is what happens when your nervous system never gets permission to stand down, when your body is always braced for the next emergency, when rest becomes something you'll do later, and later never comes. Stress isn't just a feeling, it's a physical force. And when it's chronic, when it's unrelenting, it carves itself into you. It changes how your brain fires, how your heart beats, how your cells repair themselves. You're not imagining this. You're not being weak. You're not overreacting. You're a human being whose body has been screaming for help while you kept telling it to be quiet. And now it's not asking anymore. It's breaking down, piece by piece, quietly, just like you taught it to. The loneliest place in the world isn't being alone. It's being surrounded by people who think they know you, but only know the version of you that serves them. You're always there, always present, always the first person someone thinks of when things go wrong. But when was the last time someone asked how you were doing and actually waited for a real answer? They don't mean to overlook you. It's not cruelty, it's conditioning. You've trained everyone around you to believe you don't need what they need, that you're built differently, that you're fine. And you've gotten so good at playing that part that even you started believing it. But here's what nobody sees. Every time you show up for someone else, there's a part of you that's hoping, quietly, desperately, that someone will show up for you the same way, that someone will notice the cracks, that someone will push past your "I'm okay" and see the truth underneath. It never happens. And every time it doesn't, the loneliness gets heavier, because you're not just lonely for company, you're lonely for witness, for someone to see you, not the role you play, not the function you serve, But the person underneath all of that, the one who's tired, the one who's scared, the one who doesn't have all the answers but has been pretending to for so long, they've forgotten what uncertainty feels like. You've become invisible by being too visible in all the wrong ways. People see your competence, your reliability, your ability to handle pressure without flinching, but they don't see the weight of it, the cost, the nights you spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone would care about you if you stopped being useful. And the worst part, you can't even blame them, because you've never let them in. You've never shown them the parts of you that need holding. You've made it so easy for them to take, and so hard for them to give, that they don't even know you're drowning. You're suffocating in plain sight. Strength was supposed to protect you. Instead, it became the thing you hide behind. Somewhere along the way, you learned that showing vulnerability wasn't safe, that needing someone made you a burden, that asking for help was the same as admitting failure. So you built walls, thick ones, the kind that keep people out even when you're desperately hoping someone will find a way in. You call it independence, self-sufficiency, not needing anyone. But really, it's fear dressed up as capability. Because if you never ask for anything, you never risk being disappointed. If you never lean on anyone, you never have to find out they might not catch you. If you never show weakness, no one can use it against you. It's a survival strategy, and it worked for a while. But survival and living aren't the same thing. What you don't realize is that the armor you built to protect yourself is now the thing keeping you isolated. Every time someone tries to get close, you deflect. You pivot the conversation back to them. You make a joke. You change the subject. You do anything except let them see what's really going on inside. Not because you don't want connection, but because you've forgotten how to receive it. You've spent so much of your life being the strong one that you've lost the ability to be the vulnerable one. And vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the only pathway to real intimacy, to being truly known, to mattering in a way that isn't conditional on what you can do for someone. But letting someone in means risking that they'll leave, that they'll see you fully and decide you're not worth the effort, that they'll confirm the fear you've carried quietly for years, that without your usefulness, you're nothing, so you stay behind the walls. You keep performing strength. You keep telling yourself you're fine on your own, and the loneliness grows, quietly, relentlessly, until it's all you can feel. You've been carrying other people's pain for so long that you've forgotten where theirs ends and yours begins. Every unresolved conflict they brought to you, every crisis they dumped at your feet, every emotion they couldn't handle, so you handled it for them. You absorbed it all, not because you wanted to, but because someone had to, and you were the only one willing. But here's what nobody tells you. Emotional labor has a cost, and you've been paying it in silence. There's a psychological concept called compassion fatigue. It's what happens when you give so much of yourself to others that you run out of empathy. Not just for them, but for yourself. You become numb, detached, going through the motions of care without actually feeling it anymore. You're not heartless, you're depleted. And the tragedy is that even when you're running on empty, you keep giving, because stopping feels like betrayal, like you're letting everyone down, like you're proving that you were never as strong as they thought you were. So you push through, you keep showing up. You keep absorbing everyone else's chaos, while your own internal world crumbles in silence. Meanwhile, your own needs sit in the corner, gathering dust. Your dreams get smaller, your boundaries disappear. The things that used to bring you joy feel distant, like they belong to a version of you that existed a lifetime ago. You tell yourself you'll take care of yourself later, once everyone else is okay, once things calm down, once you finally catch a break. But that moment never comes, because there's always someone who needs you, always another fire to put out, always another reason to delay your own healing. And the version of you that needed rest, that needed support, that needed someone to care for them the way they've cared for everyone else, That version is still waiting, still hoping, still believing that one day someone will notice they're drowning and throw them a line before it's too late. The cruelest irony of all, the strength everyone admires is the same thing that's destroying you. You've been praised for it your entire life. Teachers called you mature, employers called you dependable, friends called you their rock. Every compliment reinforced the idea that this is who you're supposed to be, that this is what makes you valuable. So you leaned into it. You made it your identity. You wore it like a badge of honor. But nobody ever stopped to ask what it was costing you, because strength, when it's performed instead of felt, becomes a trap. It's no longer something you possess. It's something that possesses you. You can't turn it off. You can't let it go. You can't afford to be anything else because you've built your entire sense of worth around being the person who doesn't break. And that's the prison. Not the weight you're carrying, but the belief that you're not allowed to put it down. You've become so identified with being strong that you've forgotten you're allowed to be human, to struggle, to not have the answers, to need someone the way others have needed you. Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries, the tension between who we are and who we perform. The mask we wear so long it fuses to our face, the role we play until we forget we're playing it at all. You're not living anymore, you're performing, and the audience never leaves. What would happen if you stopped, if you let yourself fall apart just once and trusted that someone would be there to catch you? The thought terrifies you, because deep down, you don't believe anyone would. You don't believe you'd still matter if you weren't strong, if you weren't useful, if you weren't the one holding everything together. And that belief, that quiet, suffocating certainty that your value is conditional, is the heaviest weight you carry, because it's the one you placed on yourself. Breaking isn't the end. Sometimes it's the only way to begin. You've spent your entire life holding everything together because you believed that falling apart meant failure. That crumbling meant weakness, that if you let go, even for a moment, everything you've built would collapse and it would be your fault. But what if falling apart is the most honest thing you've ever done? What if the version of you that's exhausted, overwhelmed, and barely holding on is more real than the version you've been performing for everyone else? What if strength isn't about never breaking? It's about finally admitting that you've been broken for years and no one noticed because you got too good at hiding it. The truth is, you don't need to be strong anymore. Not in the way you've been taught. Not in the way that's been slowly killing you. You need to be human, messy, uncertain, in need of the same grace you've spent a lifetime extending to everyone else. And yes, that's terrifying, because it means letting people see you differently. It means risking disappointment. It means dismantling the identity you've built your entire life around and finding out who you are without it. But here's what you gain: freedom. The freedom to rest without guilt, to ask for help without shame, to exist as a full person instead of a function, to be loved not for what you do, but for who you are underneath all of it. You've earned that. Not through more sacrifice, not through more endurance, but simply by being someone who's carried weight that was never yours to carry in the first place. The strong ones don't need more strength. They need permission to stop, to exhale, to finally, after all this time, let someone else hold them the way they've held everyone else. And maybe, just maybe, that permission doesn't have to come from anyone else. Maybe it starts with you. If this hit you harder than you expected, you're not alone. Thousands of people are living this exact reality right now, carrying weight they never asked for, performing strength they don't always feel, wondering if anyone sees the person underneath the role. You're not broken, you're not weak, you're human, and you've been holding on for far too long without anyone holding you back. If this resonated, do me one favor, share it. Not for the algorithm, but because someone in your life needs to hear this. Someone who's been the strong one for everyone else and forgot they're allowed to fall apart too. Send it to them. Let them know they're seen. And if you want more conversations like this, the kind that dig into the parts of being human we don't talk about enough, subscribe, hit that button, because we're just getting started. Drop a comment if you've ever felt this way. If you've been the person everyone leans on but no one checks on, I read every single one, and your story matters. You've been strong enough. Now it's time to figure out what comes after that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.